Coming up on the season finale of This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. The TWiPBYs are here. The TWiPBYs are here. It's the most anticipated night of the offseason, and we've got wall-to-wall coverage from the red carpet to the green room. We'll hear from Patriots legends of yore, the biggest stars from the historic 2021 season, and of course, Patriots skipper Keith Fisher joins the proceedings as well. Expect unprecedented Patriots pageantry as we meet this season's top fan, proudest papa, and even the biggest hothead. Finally, everyone wants to know who will take home the most prestigious TWiPBYs of them all, the dugout guy and game of the year. Let's find out, shall we? It's the 2021 TWiPBYs. Here we go. Please, you're too kind. Please, have a seat. Thank you. Welcome. Please. Okay, thank you. Welcome to the inaugural TWiPBY Awards, celebrating the best of the Washington Patriots and their remarkable, historic, record-breaking, I'm running out of superlatives here, unbelievable 2021 season. We've also got a remarkable, historic, record-breaking, unbelievable, dare I throw in there, hilarious show for you tonight. We're going to hear from your favorite members of the team, probably a few alumni cameos, and of course, Patriots manager Keith Fisher is here. Yep, that's right. Give it up for the skipper. Hey, but first, you all deserve another round of applause too. Go on, give yourselves a hand. You all look terrific. You've truly outdone yourselves. That red carpet earlier, second to none. Did anybody see Will Brook out there? Looking real casual in that Patriots tracksuit. It's a hard look to pull off, but also, there's no chance he's forgetting his belt tonight. Drawstring, smart. But hey, speaking of making an entrance, we actually had a bit about Sean McEnheimer in the teleprompter here, but hey guys, we're going to need to reshuffle the lineup because he's running a little bit late, so let's just tack him on to the end. But actually, this is good timing for a quick PSA. For everyone's enjoyment, we ask for no flash photography during the show. So yeah, Austin, if you can go ahead and holster that bazooka-looking thing, that would be great. And actually, another friendly reminder, if you could, let's keep all cell phones silenced during the show. I know the presenters and winners would really appreciate it. Hey, Charlie, I'm going to need you to be a buddy and go ahead and put that phone away. Yep, the show started. We're live here. Thanks, pal. Hey, look, but while tonight is all in good fun, there are some more prestigious awards, many of which were hotly contested. All I ask, if you don't like or agree with the result, just know I had nothing to do with it. So please don't charge the stage. Nate, I'm especially looking at you. Cooler heads tonight, okay? Hey, security, just in case, you guys got an eye on Nate here, yeah? Hey, speaking of hotheads, Billy Schultz is here. Also running uncontested, Connor Lewis was so dominant, he pretty much has his own category. I honestly don't have a joke here. The guy was literally untouchable, and I'm just the designated fielder, so who am I to take any swings at him? Hey, that's a great reminder. One more time, give it up for Patriots manager Keith Fisher. You know, I do find it amazing, though. Despite more than 2 decades with the Patriots and a record-setting 18 wins this season, the guy still constantly has his waiver pickups second-guessed. But I guess this is as good a time as any to introduce Mike Mayer. Mike Mayer is in the house. You know, I just thought of this. I'm not sure who scripts the pairings of the presenters and the winners tonight and how that gets decided. And Keith would never say this, but I really hope they find a way to make Mike introduce Connor for one of his awards tonight. Because that wouldn't be awkward at all. Aaron Ulcher is here, first-year Patriot. You know, when new players first come out, you never know if they're really going to commit or just kind of treat it like an apprenticeship. That reminds me, Jeff Pyatt is in the house tonight. You know, among his many trigger points, whatever you do, I highly discourage engaging in any sort of political discourse with Jeff. It can get ugly quickly. Perhaps it's fitting then that Jeff found himself embroiled in an alternative facts controversy this year. Still inconclusive as to whether that mysterious missing Patriots score sheet ever turned up at the National Archives. Hey, another one of the guys who came over from the Senators this year, Sammy Crisciatello's here tonight. Yeah, give it up for Sammy. Now, I didn't take Sammy for a posse kind of guy, but did anyone else see him coming in tonight? He was rolling deep. I mean, it must have been 8, 9, 10 in his crew. Oh, what's that? That was just his parents and the rest of his family? That makes much more sense now. Well, welcome to the entire Crisciatello crew. Great to have you all here. And of course, it's great to have all of you here as well. Those joining us live, those listening at home, you are in for a very special evening indeed. And so it's now time to officially raise the curtain on the 2021 TWiPBYs. With that, I'd like to welcome Patriots manager and my co-host for the evening. Put your hands together for the incomparable Keith Fisher. Keith, welcome to the 2021 TWiPBYs. Take a look around.
This is surreal.
Soak it all in. Pretty good, huh?
It's amazing to be here. Can't believe this is actually happening.
Well, we are here to celebrate all things about the 2021 season. What a year it was. As you reflect back on a historic Patriots season, what stands out most to you?
Just a season to be proud of. I think everybody up and down the line should be proud of what we accomplished last year. Obviously, didn't finish the way we wanted, but there was a lot to like and look back upon for last year. This is going to be a lot of fun, reminisce. As much as I want to already be looking forward to next year, this is going to be a lot of fun to look back on what was possibly the greatest season in Patriots history so far.
Well, possibly. I don't think there's any doubt, but I like that you left it open so far because there is a lot to look forward to in 2022. How have you personally tried to put 2021 in the rearview mirror and set yourself and the team up for success here ahead of 2022?
Well, I think when the season ended for us last year, I kind of just unplugged a little bit. In fact, we were talking a little bit before the show about, I guess the Wood Ducks won the title, but I don't think I would have been able to tell you that. I only care about the Patriots. So I really just started immediately kind of turning the page as fast as I could to start thinking about next year. And the one thing that's really helped to do that is to really know that we're pretty much getting, as far as I know, everybody back from last year. And, you know, everyone that finished the season with us should be available to start the season with us this year. So, you know, we'll get another crack at it with this group, and I'm really excited about that.
Well, since the Patriots as a team last took the field, there has been one more game where at least 3 Patriots were featured. Of course, that's the Fed Ball All-Star Game. Shout out to Sammy, Shawnee Mack, and Austin representing the Patriots. What's your take on their season and what it means to represent the Patriots at the All-Star Game?
Yeah, well, it's good to see we had a little bit of a bigger representation this year. We were only sent cousin Zach, I believe. Last year was the only guy that we could get to go. This year, good representation from the team. All 3 of those guys obviously had standout seasons that contributed to our success. I was actually just tallying some numbers the other day, and really Shawnee Mack just had a fantastic season, hitting well over 400 and 3 homers and I think more RBIs than games played. So it's great to see those guys out there with some of the best players in the league.
Well, and we are going to hear more from each of them, I'm sure, throughout the course of the evening. So without further ado, Keith, I'd say it's time for the TWiPBYs, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, you heard the man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2021 TWiPBY. You know, Keith, they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
That's right, Chad, but a Patriots game can start in the morning, afternoon, or evening, so you should never underestimate a good snack either.
Great point, Keith. With that in mind, let's take a look at the nominees for Snack of the Year. Cheese sticks, Chipotle, crudité, goldfish, nuts. And the winner is, would you look at this? We've got a tie.
Wow.
That's some way to start the first ever TWiPBYs. It's a tie between goldfish and Chipotle.
Come on.
Goldfish and Chipotle. Keith, I feel like you've got a strong opinion on this one. Care to weigh in?
Well, as somebody who's been fined multiple times for eating Chipotle in the dugout, I have a clear favorite here. Chipotle is my go-to pregame fuel.
I feel like when it comes down from the manager, that's the ultimate tiebreaker. So
I prefer the pretzel goldfish anyway, if we're talking about goldfish. So I think this is referring to the cheese goldfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, dark horse pretzel goldfish.
I'm a pretzel guy. That's not even my favorite type of goldfish. So definitely Chipotle in this one.
This is a controversial take.
I had Chipotle today.
So Chipotle's on his mind, folks. It was prescient here this first TWiPBY. So
we're off to a dubious start with a tie.
Don't feel great about it. Let's see where the evening goes from here.
All right.
Of course, great snacks often go hand in hand with great fans.
Whether keeping us fed, cheering us on, or haggling with the umpires so we don't get thrown out of the game, Patriot fans made their presence felt throughout this historic season. Here are the nominees for Fan of the Year. Mr. and Mrs. Schultz, Carly and Buckley, Mr. Abramson, the Mayors, and the winner of the TWiPBY for Fan of the Year, in this case it's going to be Fans of the Year, Mr. and Mrs. Schultz.
We're honored and humbled to receive this recognition. However, we understand that by my bringing snacks to games, some may be calling into question the election integrity.
There are many people to thank, including the umpires. Sitting so close to home plate, had any of them thrown me out for protesting the many bad calls, we never would have been eligible for the Best Fan Award.
And he has been thrown out before, just FYI. Anyway, all kidding aside, this year's team is one of our all-time favorites.
The merger with Vienna was simply genius, adding so much depth and talent and fun to a highly successful season.
Can't wait to see next season.
Until then, please stay well and stay safe.
Love you guys.
Huge shout out to the Schultzes. They're always repping the gear, the snacks, you name it. Diehards through and through. Well-deserving winners indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Their support is so great and appreciated.
You know, Keith, as with any team in any given season, there's always turnover. There are always new faces to work into the team. And especially this year, it was no different. We had the Senators merger.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge storyline heading into the last year. And how those first-year guys perform and mesh with the returning players can go a long way in determining the outcome of a season. Here are the nominees for Newcomer of the Year. Patrick Abramson, Aaron Alsher, Will Brook, Matt Coliani, Sammy Cristatello, Alan Knapp, Connor Lewis, Pete Mulholland. And the TWiPY for Newcomer of the Year goes to, might have been an easy one, Connor Lewis. This is the first of Connor's 3 TWiPY nominations and the first TWiPY win of his career.
Keith, that has to feel particularly validating for you, having scooped up Connor off the waiver wire.
Obviously really proud of the season Connor had, and it was really just a pleasure to sort of sit in the dugout and sort of witness some of the games that he was able to put together. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about some of those individual performances later on, but certainly Connor has to go down as one of the greatest waiver wire pickups in Patriots baseball history, I would say. It's hard to think of a better one.
Now, while Connor and the newcomers are recognized for making a great first impression, the nominees for our next TWiPY made headlines by, in some cases, overcoming their first impressions.
Not that they made bad first impressions, but our dark horse performers sure came out of nowhere to turn in memorable seasons. And the nominees for Dark Horse of the Year: Thomas Aguila, Matt Coliani, Sammy Cristatello, Jeff Gregorio, Chris Sella. And the TWiPY for Dark Horse of the Year goes to Jeff Gregorio. This is the first of Jeff's 6 TWiPY nominations. 6? Is that a record? We'll have to check that. And the first TWiPY of his career. Awesome. Congratulations, Jeff.
Decided to accept this year's 2021 Dark Horse Player of the Year. Had a lot of goals coming into the year. One was to get in shape and be a little bigger, a little faster, a little stronger. I certainly wasn't much faster, but next year I'm going to be faster. A little disappointed that's going to be harder to win Dark Horse of the Year next year, but maybe one of you guys can become bigger, faster, and stronger. And let's make that our motto for the offseason. All right, have a good offseason, guys.
Kudos to Jeff. You heard it. That's the first of his 6 nominations. So I'm guessing we will likely hear more from Mr. Gregorio later in the show. Back to you, Keith.
Thanks, Chad. From the Big Hurt to Little Joe, nicknames have long been an integral part of the fabric of America's pastime.
And this year's Patriots boasted a lineup of monikers as memorable as any season in recent memory. Here are the nominees for Nickname of the Year. Cousin Zach Blozan, Keith Skip Fisher, Mike, Mayor of Patstown, Jeff Deuce Pyatt, Billy MVB Schultz. Here to present the winner, Patriots infielder Sean Harding.
Award for best nickname goes to Cousin Zach.
So for those of you who don't know, the nickname Cousin Zach is actually an abbreviated version of Billy's godson's mom's cousin, Zach, which is basically the story of how I ended up on the Pats. And I kept telling people like, oh yeah, this is how I'm connected. I'm Billy's godson's mom's cousin, Zach. And so they, I guess, just started calling me Cousin Zach. And it's definitely a new one for me. You know, I've been called a lot of things on the mound, like my last name, my number. People sometimes make nicknames out of my last name, Blozan. But definitely when I'm up there pitching and I hear, let's go Cousin Zach, that was definitely a new one for me. But, you know, I liked it, and it definitely made me feel more welcome, you know, as always, to have a nickname around the dugout. But I just want to say I'm really honored to receive this TWiPBY. You know, I've always wanted to win one of these, and it truly is a dream come true to be standing up here in front of you guys holding this. So thank you, and go Pats.
While we celebrate many of tonight's honorees based on their individual performances, our next TWiPBY goes to a team achievement.
That's right, Chad. Some nominees in this category date back to opening day. Others have been 2 decades in the making. Here are the nominees for Milestone of the Year. 21 seasons of Patriot Baseball. The 200th win in franchise history. Most wins in a regular season, 17. And probably no surprise, the milestone of the year, as voted by this year's Patriots, is our record-breaking 17 regular season wins. Here to accept the award on behalf of the team, former Pats skipper, Mike Mayer.
17 wins, 1 playoff win. Man, I couldn't even dream of this of all these years playing with the Patriots. You know, back when we're in blue and gray, we're playing the Black Sox or the Giants. We know we're going to lose. We're playing some trash team like the River Bandits or the Indians. We know we're going to win. And even those games we lost, I'd come home, Carolyn would ask, how many RBIs did Jeff Pike get? I mean, that's the only question worth asking because you knew you weren't going to win. 17, though. Congratulations, guys. Well done.
Well, you don't set a franchise record for wins in a season without every member of the team pulling in the same direction.
And despite that singular drive, there were no shortage of refrains heard echoing through the dugout and in the stands during the season. Here to introduce the nominees for Rallying Cry of the Year, Patriots third baseman Chris Sella.
Fellas, it is my great honor to present this next award at this esteemed, exclusive, inaugural TWiPBY event. A lot of good rally cries in this breakout season. Really reminded me of the 2019 Nationals, but thank God we did a little bit better than Gerardo Parra's Baby Shark. Some of the honorable mentions this year for Rally Cry of the Year go to MVB, In, the Patriots Baseball theme song, Try Your Best, and Parking Lot Beers, of course. Almost as good as the famous or infamous now Atlanta Braves Tomahawk Chop. The winner of this year's TWiPBY Rallying Cry of the Year goes to let's find out.
Here to accept the award, Patriots pitcher Nick Richards.
I'm excited to accept the award for Rallying Cry of the Year, Let's Find Out. Although the origins of who shouted this out first are a little bit murky, photo evidence, courtesy of our own Chad Kurtz, shows that this was posted on the dugout of one of the fields that we played at during the Pats' historic 2021 season. The slogan was extremely motivational. It helped us in a crucial comeback win and really springboarded us to having one of the best seasons in Pats history. So I'm grateful that I can accept this award on behalf of the team. Let's find out what happens in 2022, and go Pats.
Great stuff from Chris and Nick there. Keith, ready to introduce our lights out pitching performance?
Let's find out.
Nice. But before we get to the nominees for lights out pitching performance, Keith, do you know where the term lights out actually comes from anyway?
You know, Chad, I don't, but you know it when you see it, and we saw a lot of it from Connor Lewis this year. Maybe we just rename this category after him next year. That seems fitting.
You know, I'm good with that. In fact, why wait till next year? Executive decision. Here are the nominees for the Connor Lewis pitching performance of the year. Connor Lewis, June 23rd versus the Ducks. Connor Lewis, July 13 versus the Knights. Connor Lewis, August 3rd versus the Shockers. Connor Lewis, August 23rd versus the Shockers. Connor Lewis, September 13th versus the Ducks. And the winner is Connor Lewis's July 13 1-0 win versus the DC Knights. It was a complete game, 9 innings, no runs, just 2 hits, walked but 1 with 13 strikeouts in that Patriots 1-0 win. Keith, what do you recall from that night?
Honestly, just one of the most standout pitching performances in Patriot history, and I think really set the tone, for us in our second half that we could play and beat anybody. Again, the Knights didn't have a loss heading into that game. It was already mid-July at that point, so we were able to beat them 1-0. It was a classic game. I think we were on our way home by like 9:45. It was a real pitcher's duel. So just an absolutely fantastic performance. But when you look up and down these other nominees as well, it's just really hard to pick one. Obviously, that game had a lot of significance because it was against the Knights and it was a 1-0 classic. But you look up and down these nominees, and really these individual game performances are just really outstanding.
Quite a season for Connor Lewis indeed. That is his second TWiPY of the evening in as many nominations. So 2 for 2 for Connor Lewis.
So I guess that would make him our first multi-time winner.
That's right.
Just another accolade to put in Connor's trophy closet. That one's got to be right at the top shelf.
Yeah, you really can't say enough about Connor's season. It was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, but we should probably throw the rest of the guys a bone too, right, Chad?
Good call. Let's take a look at the best play or performance by someone not named Connor Lewis. Who are we kidding? There's no way Connor didn't somehow sneak into this category too, right?
I can't say I'd be shocked. And the nominees are
Will Brook versus the Squirrels. Matt Coliani's catch. Matt Coliani's throw. Mike Mayer's walk-off. Sean Mackenheimer's 2 home runs. Sean Mackenheimer's game-winning home run. Austin Morgan versus the Ducks. Chris Sella's 4 RBIs. And the winner is Austin Morgan's performance, both at the plate and from the mound, in the season finale versus the Ducks.
Happy to be back up here. All too kind. In 2015, the MLB created the Aroldis Chapman filter, and they created this because when you search through StatCast's hardest pitches thrown, the only person that would show up was Aroldis Chapman. Then, when you put the Aroldis Chapman filter on, the next bum, who's probably only throwing like 98, would show up. In 2021, the Patriots created the Connor Lewis filter. And when you put the game performance Connor Lewis filter on, the next bum that would show up at the top, according to you guys, was me. And I appreciate this award. I gave it all I had, and I still can't throw. So if that was my last pitching performance ever, I'm glad it was a good one. and I'm glad it was appreciated. Thank you.
Such a deserving recipient of that award. That was such a big game for us. I was happy for Austin that he was able to come through in that spot and close out that season for us and secure that 2 seed. It was that was a great moment for us in our season. But when I look at some of these other moments too, we really just had a whole host of them last year. You think about Mayer's walk-off hit on opening day and Shawnee Mack's multiple homer game, and that game that Will threw against the Squirrels early in the year, which I think really established a lot of confidence in our dugout that we can, again, go out and compete with the top teams in the league. So tons of great moments and memories from 2021.
Very well said, Keith.
Well, we've reached the intermission, and that's quite a way to close the first act of the 2021 TWiPBYs. It feels like we're just getting started.
Well, that's because we still have some great TWiPBYs to give out after the break, like the top performers of the year, the dugout guy, and of course, our best game.
Well, while folks top off their refreshments, let's take a moment to recognize this year's corporate partners. 1210 WPBR, the radio home of the Washington Patriots. Custom Ink. Dick's Sporting Goods. Game Changer, the official app of the Washington Patriots. Max Bat. And everyone's favorite Patriot communication tool, WhatsApp.
Well, and it probably comes as no great surprise that Game Changer is our corporate partner of the year.
Yeah, I can't imagine there was anyone who advertised more on This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast.
Not saying you can buy your way to TWiPBY immortality, but that fact probably wasn't lost on the steering committee either. And wouldn't you know, just in time for opening day 2022, Game Changer is introducing the latest update to the app that's sure to have Patriots fans buzzing. To find out more, here's a word from our corporate partner of the year, the official live scoring and stat tracking app of your Washington Patriots, our friends at Game Changer. Hey Pats fans, the season may be over, but Game Changer is rolling out big updates for 2022, and I promise you, they are not to be missed. Now, if you're not familiar with the Patriots' official live scorekeeping app, let's get the basics out of the way. Game Changer is the ultimate companion app to take your Patriots game day experience to the next level. It's got it all. Every single, double switch, and triple play, it's right there in the app as it happens. Live in-game audio, is Dolby 5.1 good enough for you? Even the always tricky subject-verb agreement in those post-game article headlines, yeah, they're definitely still very much a thing. So whether you're following the Pats from out of town, reliving each of the TWiPBY-nominated games of the year, or getting a head start on your FedBall fantasy draft research, Game Changer is the app for you. But for 2022, Game Changer will bring you closer to the action than ever before. Introducing Game Changer Jackpot, a full-service FedBall sportsbook right in the palm of your hand. Season-long, single-game, and even pitch-by-pitch bets, over-unders, confidence picks, daily fantasy, and some of the most lucrative parlays in the industry. Plus, get access to Chet Sturgler's exclusive weekly e-newsletter featuring his widely acclaimed Monday Morning Manager column, Stardom Situm, Stone Cold Locks, Sleepers, and so much more. And to celebrate our TWiPBY award as top corporate partner, exclusively for This Week in Patriots Baseball podcast listeners, Game Changer is offering a $50 sign-up bonus when you create a new account and enter promo code TWiPBY50. That's promo code TWiPBY50 for $50 free when you open a new Game Changer Jackpot account. Looking to make your Patriots fandom really pay off? Try Game Changer Jackpot with $50 risk-free when you enter promo code TWiPBY50. Help subsidize your next Patriots merchandise purchase with $50 from Game Changer Jackpot with promo code TWiPBY50. That's TWiPBY, the number 5 and the number 0, TWiPBY50 to get $50 added to your Game Changer Jackpot account when you sign up. Don't take my word for it. Join the thousands of 5-star reviewers who've already added Game Changer to their home screens. So what are you waiting for? download the Game Changer app today from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Don't delay, this limited time offer ends soon. That's the Game Changer app, and coming in 2022, Game Changer Jackpot, the official sportsbook of the Washington Patriots. Void where prohibited, some restrictions apply, subject to availability, while supplies last. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Well, that was something. I feel like I need an intermission from the intermission.
Hey, it's the sponsors' time to shine too. They help keep the lights on around here after all.
All right, well, let's get back to the show. What's our next award?
This one is for all the dads out there. It's the TWiPBY for Proudest Papa. Let's meet the nominees.
Jeff Gregorio, Mike Mayer, Sean Mackenheimer, Kevin O'Brien. And the winner is Jeff Gregorio. Let's hear from the winner.
Hi, I'm Liz Gregorio. I am the wife of Jeff Gregorio, and I am accepting his award for TWiPBY Award for Father of the Year today. So Jeff, whether he's dealing with a wife going into labor 2 months early, or a baby with botulism, or a massive home flood, you can always count on Jeff to show up with a can-do attitude and usually a case of Michelob Ultra. We can only hope that our daughter here inherits his great team spirit, perhaps better taste in beer. But in all seriousness, congratulations, Jeff. You earned this and you deserve it. Dad of the Year. Thanks.
Wow, that was pretty cool that Liz hijacked Jeff's acceptance speech.
Yeah, Jeff's selflessness on full display there. Deflecting the attention like that, the ultimate embodiment of what the TWiPBYs are all about, Chad.
Well, he is nominated for like half the awards, so he could spare a little bit of the limelight.
He had a good year.
But hey, keeping it in the family, let's meet the nominees for the Separated at Birth TWiPBY. Get it? Keep it in the family, separated at birth.
And the nominees are Matt Coliani and Will Brook, Matt Coliani and Patrick Abramson, Sammy Cristatello and Andy Samberg, Pete Mulholland and Will Mooney, Nick Richards and Jeff Gregorio. And the winner is Andy Samberg. Sammy Cristatello.
To my Patriots teammates and all of our countless thousands of fans, I just want to say thank you for the honor of a lifetime here, for being bestowed with the 2021 Separated at Birth TWiPBY Award. I'd like to think that this award has been about 7 to 8 years in the making. My first week of college when I was just 18 years old at JMU, I went to some frat party, first or second night of school with a couple other dudes, because what else are you gonna do your first day of college? And we got rejected a couple places, and the third or fourth place we tried to go, someone saw me and said, "Hey, that dude looks just like Andy Samberg." And I kind of joked with him about it, and he hooked me and my friends up. We ended up having a great night, and that was the first time I ever heard the question, have you ever been told that you look like Andy Samberg? I've heard that question thousands of times since. I get stopped on the streets. People ask me if I'm his brother, if I'm his cousin. Most recently, this happened this summer when I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and went to a place at Folly Beach. Couldn't get a res, and as I was walking out, the hostess at the front said, "Hey, this guy looks like someone that I watch on Netflix." Came back and just promptly let her know that I actually am Andy Samberg's brother, and I was sitting down with a margarita in hand less than 2 minutes later. They say that we're all 7 connections within everyone else in the entire planet, and I'm proud to say that I'm just 1 connection away from Andy Samberg. A good family friend of mine, many of you guys know, is J.K. Simmons. They were recently in Palm Springs together. They were in Juneau together. I'm sorry, not Juneau. They were in I Love You Man together. And so I have the connection. I just need to act on it. So with that being said, see if I'm back in for next season. There is a chance that I may be in Hollywood as a stunt double for Andy Samberg, or maybe just replacing him. I mean, we'll see. Maybe Hollywood needs a fresh face. So hope to see you guys next year. Absolutely no promises. We'll see what happens. Let's find out.
More salt in the wounds that really isn't Andy Samberg back there crashing the TWiPBYs.
He'd be a big get.
Be a great get.
Okay. Now let's rein this thing in a little bit. We've got a couple of serious awards to present here. So up first, it's the TWiPBY for the Young Performer of the Year. I believe you had to be 25 or younger was the criteria here. So here are the nominees for the Young Performer of the Year. Patrick Abramson, Thomas Aguila, Zach Blozan, Will Brook, Matt Coliani, Sammy Cristatello, Connor Lewis, Pete Mulholland. And the winner for the TWiPBY for Young Performer of the Year, Connor Lewis. I believe that makes it 3 for 3 for Connor.
That's right. 3 nominations and 3 wins. Quite a haul.
Connor has also been nominated for League MVP and League Cy Young, which will be announced sometime before opening day. So
that could certainly be grounds for an emergency pod. All right, congratulations, Connor. Well, from a guy who we all hope has a lot of years left in his playing career to someone who's probably just happy to get out of bed in the morning without too many aches and pains.
Yeah, Chad, you and I fall into that category, at least into that age bracket. But that probably makes our next winner's accomplishments all the more impressive.
All right, let's meet the nominees for this season's TWiPBY for Top Veteran Performer. Aaron Altscher, Justin DiLorenzo, Keith Fisher, Charlie Galbraith, Jeff Gregorio,
Alan Knapp, Chad Kurz, Jeff Pyatt, Nick Richards, Billy Schultz. And here to announce the winner, I'm told we have a special guest taking a break from spring training BP at James Madison University. Who could this be?
Jeff Gregorio.
Wow. Watch out, Michael Bay, because that swing and cinematography are an explosive combination. Good stuff, Thomas.
And don't think I didn't notice you were working on that left-handed swing. Anyway, let's hear from the winner, Jeff Gregorio.
Oh, man. That's amazing. I guess some free advice for the younger guys. Man, never get distracted during the season. Take care of your joints because you're going to need them when you're older. And I guess the third one is buy gold from Roslyn Capital. It'll protect your savings. See y'all next year.
And that is also TWiPBY number 3 for Jeff Gregorio.
Impressive.
Tying Connor Lewis for the team high in TWiPBY wins so far this year. All right, this next category saw a lot of action this year, which for the old heads on the team, Keith, like you and me, it's pretty cool to see.
Yes, of course, we're talking about the TWiPBY for the Alumni of the Year. This is always special because it really reflects the bond that the guys have formed over the years. Everyone, how they stay in touch, come out to games when they're in town. It's always good to hear from the vets chiming in on the WhatsApp and contributing to some of the banter. So excited to see who won this award.
Yeah, this is kind of like those fifth-year guys in college who still hang out around the frat house. I can say that because I was one of those guys.
Okay, well, before we relive any of those stories, Chad, let's meet the nominees for Alumni of the Year. Kyle Harbaugh, Luke Mirabella, Nick Nimarella, David Shaman. And the winner for the 2021 TWiPY for the Alumni of the Year is Kyle Harbaugh.
And now we have the good fortune of speaking with him live. Patriots alumni Kyle Harbaugh. Kyle, congratulations on the TWiPY. Welcome to the show. How you feeling after the big honor?
It feels great, actually, Chad. Thank you for having me, and thank you to this year's Patriots for voting for me for an award I didn't know I was even up for. So, thank you, and I look forward to spending some time out there the next time I'm out and catching a Patriots game with my stretch package.
Love it, and appreciate the plug for the stretch package as well. Now, one other little faux pas that I need to acknowledge. You did come out to a Patriots game earlier this season, and we actually did have a post-game interview, and I will say that it's not the first time that it's happened, and so please don't take it personally, but that interview never saw the light of day. Again, it's happened before. It's been a little while, so I'm embarrassed to admit that, but full transparency here on the podcast. But we want to make it up to you. We've been really looking forward to this conversation. We know your background as an umpire, and we thought there were a few tricky moments during the course of this Patriots season that we thought maybe you could shed some light on, some rules interpretations and the like. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's talk some rules.
So our first scenario for you, and we kind of have one that's pitching related, batting, and fielding. So we're gonna cover all areas here. The first one happened toward the end of the season, and it was a scenario around appealing. And it happened that there was a runner on base, and a batter failed to touch first on their way to second. There would have been two runners ending up on base. As it turned out, the trailing runner never hit first. We appealed over to first. He rightly was called out. But it got us thinking, what if that lead runner over on third somehow knew that the batter, the trailing runner, hadn't hit first? Could he have gotten himself into a pickle or even just drawn a throw from the pitcher and thereby negated our ability to appeal that trail runner? Kyle, there's some interesting things happening on this play. How do you see it from a rule book standpoint?
Section 5 of the Major League Baseball rulebook does actually have several references to appeals and what happens and what actually defines an appeal. In the scenario you described where the batter runner missed first base, had the runner at second base had the wherewithal to say, I don't think he touched first. I'm going to draw a throw here. If he actually did draw a throw, whether it was a hard throw or just trying to get himself into a pickle to avoid any further attention on the batter runner, should the Patriots have made a play on that, that does negate the ability for you guys to then file an appeal. The reason being is that any appeal must occur under two conditions. Before the next pitch, or any play or attempted play. So throwing over to third base to attempt to get a runner who's dancing around third base off of it for whatever reason, that throw does negate the ability for an appeal.
Here's a follow-up question. We didn't talk about this in our pre-production meeting. In the scorebook, that the batter runner, I've never heard that term before, but I assume it's official, so I'm going to use it. The batter runner ended up on second base, albeit he didn't touch first base. And the closest parallel I can think of is when a batter runner, is thrown out at second base, they're still credited with a single. In this instance, the batter runner ends up at second base, doesn't touch first base. What is he credited with?
In this case in particular, he's actually got nothing. It's credited with just a normal putout. To expand upon that, I do believe the rule book does outline the scoring of this. Should you have caught him missing second base and he ends up at third, he actually gets credited with a single. You go only so far as to how successful he was originally to then credit that play.
Very interesting. Okay, let's move to, that was sort of a bridge to get us to a batting question, but I got another batting question for you. Let's talk about quality at-bats. And I guess the simplest way to think about it, can a walk be the end result of what was considered a quality at-bat? A walk technically doesn't count as an at-bat. Can it therefore be a quality at-bat? What say you, Kyle?
Well, I think that the term quality at-bat is a little bit of a misnomer here. And I do remember the philosophical question and conundrum that this puts you into from earlier in the year. And the short answer is yes, a walk can qualify as a quality at-bat. There's a little bit of a discussion around what is and is not. I do have what Game Changer considers quality at-bats. There's 7 of those at-bats with 3 pitches after 2 strikes, any at-bat with 6 or more pitches, hard hit, ball, an extra base hit, sacrifice bunt, sacrifice fly, and a walk. According to Game Changer, if a ball hit falls into any of those categories, that is what it considers to be a quality at-bat. I do think it is slightly unfair because if you look up the definition as per USA Baseball, the extra base requirement is actually dropped from that. But unfortunately, Game Changer doesn't have the ability to take into effect some of those additional complexities. So when you're using the app and scoring the game, be generous.
That's a great philosophy to take. We tend to try to be as generous as we can in all areas of scoring. But I think to put a bow on it, you could have a certain number of quality at-bats in a game without technically registering any at-bats in your scoreline if those quality at-bats result in a walk. The phrasing isn't quite as clear as it could be, more so a quality plate appearance than a quality at-bat if there's confusion around what results in a walk.
Correct, yeah, especially since a walk, a hit by pitch, and any of the sacrifices, those don't count against a batter. Those are
That's right.
Just plate appearances. They're not at-bats.
All right, well, we'll see if perhaps we file the appropriate paperwork for a proposed, not necessarily rule change, but perhaps a terminology change. Maybe the powers that be will listen to the podcast and the TWiPBYs Awards show here tonight and realize that perhaps we're onto something. Okay, the third and final scenario that we want to talk through, Kyle, and get your perspective on from an umpire's point of view, fielding percentage. And personally, I'm a designated fielder, so this one is especially poignant for me. It seems there are any number of instances throughout the course of a game where there is an opportunity for a fielder to make an error and therefore negatively impact their fielding percentage. But if they actually complete that play successfully, there's no corresponding positive statistic. For example, just picking up a loose ball, as we talked about when we spoke earlier, just cleaning up a mess of a loose ball that maybe dribbled out to the outfield. No runner is advanced. There's been no action, but an outfielder's had to clean up the mess in the outfield and throw the ball back into the infield. They do that successfully. It's as if it never happened. But if that outfielder were to throw the ball away and just casually lobbing it back into the infield, all of a sudden they're slapped with an error. To me, that feels a little unjust. It feels like it's kind of a can't-win situation for the fielder, but perhaps there is some reason to it. What do you find when you consult the rule book?
So the way that the rulebook actually interprets this is a total chance, and a total chance is defined as a defender's opportunities to record an out. The fielding percentage that you see for a lot of players all over in the majors or college or even on the Patriots, that formula is calculated as assists plus putouts divided by assists plus putouts plus errors. In the scenario that you provided, where the ball dribbles into center field, you pick the ball up, you throw it back into the infield. There is no opportunities for an out there. If you throw it away and the runner advances, yes, you do get an error. That does count against you. You could also say the same about fielding percentage being kind of an antiquated and inferior metric that is kind of nice to look at, but isn't really taken all that seriously anymore in a lot of the advanced metrics and sabermetric circles that you see now. There's definitely better metrics that you could use. Unfortunately, it also presents a situation where you need to weigh that against other players. And in a league like Fedball, unless everybody on every team is uniformly using the same way to judge their defense and uploading that to a specific place for then a uniform comparison, it's going to be very difficult to prove what actually the defensive value is of somebody like yourself, because you get to balls that are a lot more difficult than, say, I can get to. But if at the end of the day you have 4 putouts, I have 4 putouts, it looks the exact same way in the book. Fielding percentage is pretty cut and dry as to what it is, and unless there's an opportunity for an out, the ball being thrown back into the infield is just a normal baseball play that has no bearing on anything and has no statistical measure.
Look, I'm not trying to be the guy here trying to juice my stats with little, routine plays. It just feels like to me the risk reward is not equally applied on both sides of the potential outcome there. That's all I'm saying. Kyle, outstanding insight. I think you've shed a lot of light and even illuminated the topic further than we may even have anticipated. So we thank you for that. We congratulate you on your Alumni of the Year TWiPBY Award. So well deserved. And enjoy the rest of the evening and the festivities tonight. And we look forward to seeing you at a Patriots game in 2022. And that was former Patriot Kyle Harbaugh. Well, speaking of Patriots alumni, we are ecstatic to welcome another former Patriot to the show. He's been a guest on This Week in Patriots Baseball podcast, even as recently as earlier this season. He's the former magistrate of the Kangaroo Court. Of course, none other than Luke Mirabella. Luke, welcome to the show.
Judge, Keith, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Judge, good to hear from you. First off, I want to say congrats to Kyle. He deserves it. He used to text us before we were off the field congratulating us, so it's definitely a unanimous award, I think.
It's true. He does chime in on the WhatsApp chain about as much as anybody else does.
Yeah, I appreciate he's usually the first person to acknowledge a new episode of This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast, and it's really mainly because the time zone works in his favor, because they usually get published late at night. But there's just different factors you have to account for, geography being one of them. Well, Luke, let's turn our attention to the nominees for this year's Kangaroo Court Violation of the Year. We previously talked about 3 of the nominees when you joined the show earlier in the season, but since that time, there's been a couple additional transgressions that have drawn the ire of the roster, and so they made their way onto the ballot. And in fact, one other that didn't officially make the ballot, but we have a write-in vote. So let's focus our attention there and start with Will Brook wearing a bungee cord belt. We've had all sorts of uniform violations in the past. I don't know if we've ever specifically had a bungee cord belt. What's your take?
Well, wardrobe malfunctions are kind of up there, and that's the bread and butter of the Kangaroo Court. But improvisation there deserves a little bit of a head nod, I think. It's pretty clever. Now, I have a follow-up question. Was the bungee belt blue?
I want to say it was some shade of blue, maybe a little hint of green in there, but it was, if I remember, somewhat in the ballpark.
Sounds iffy.
I wouldn't say it was like a sanctioned navy blue, exercise band that he was using as a belt. No,
I have not heard that one before.
All right. Well, let's put it in context of the other two new nominees. This one, at least personally, is especially egregious. Thomas, and I'm all for extracurricular activities. Don't get me wrong. In fact, we have a category for extracurricular activities. I think where this one particularly rubbed me the wrong way was how active Thomas was in promoting a third-party podcast of which he was a producer and host and etc. And it was a baseball podcast, no less. So the Hard 90 podcast, not that I want to give it another plug outright, but Thomas puts on a podcast, and from everything I hear, it's perfectly all well and good podcast. But he drops into the WhatsApp thread, and he's like, "Hey everybody, check out my podcast." And I'm like, "Whoa! Luke, as a former guest on the podcast, I think I know where your allegiances lie, but anyway, the floor is yours."
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a list of favorite podcasts, and this one is 1A and 1B, and there's no two. As far as promoting it on the Patriots channel, that's not a good look, there's headspace there for more than one podcast in one's life, but
yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a fishing podcast and has no relevance to the baseball podcast, but it is kind of like running ads on WPBR and not paying for the ad space.
Thank you.
Could put it like that.
Yeah, that's the most succinct analogy. Yeah. All right. Well, here's a last nominee. It was a write-in. It wasn't initially on the ballot, but a write-in, and I think a valid one at that. And really, sort of speaking of conflict of interest and competing interests, this write-in vote goes at Billy Schultz, who at one point in the season also used the group's WhatsApp thread to hawk Nationals tickets on a Patriots game day, and thereby, if you were to take up the Nationals tickets, you would have missed the Patriots game. And and a number of people called him out when this went in there, like, "What are you thinking?" Seemed like a total airball. Where do you land on that type of offense, Luke?
Well, it wouldn't be a proper podcast appearance if we weren't talking about Billy Schultz' potential fines. So, whoever had the moral compass to write that one in, thank you. This is it's pretty classic Billy. I don't know how the court's going to see that one, but it's probably not looking too good.
Keith, from your perspective as the manager, you're trying to build a lineup and a game plan for the day, and you see this storyline unfolding on the WhatsApp thread. What's going through your mind?
Honestly, I think by the time I saw it, multiple team members had already called him out on it, and he already had retracted the offer out of shame. And then I might have even issued me a apology off the side. So it's all good. But I fully expect something like that to happen again in the future.
All right. Well, we've now run down the gamut of all of this season's nominees, and just as a refresher for the three previous infractions, they were Jeff Pyatt, sort of raining on the parade, or at least stealing some of the sunshine, the game that Sean Mackenheimer hit 2 home runs. I mean, Sean was barely back into the dugout, and for the entire field to hear, Jeff is there bragging about his own 2 home run game, which, by the way, nobody was able to find in the record books. So that's an interesting little nugget there. The next story was the field conditions at Thomas Jefferson High School, and how poor they were, and directly attributable to Nick Richards, Thomas Jefferson alumni. The last one that we touched on from very early in the season, Zach Blozan, and whether it was the hat was too big, the hair was too big, it was really very distracting. Kudos to the hair, but demerits for the hair-hat combination. So those are ultimately the 6 nominees for the Kangaroo Court violation of the season.
All very worthy.
Indeed. But there can be only one. Luke, we will turn the floor over to you to present this most prestigious but also ignominious, is that the right word, of awards. It's the TWiPBY for the Kangaroo Court violation of the year. Luke, take it away.
Thanks, Chad, Keith, and myself. It's an honor to sit here today as your former magistrate Kangaroo Court judge and present to you the 2021 TWiPBY for worst or best fine of the year. Something more comfortable. And the winner, or the loser, goes to now all 6 nominees, extremely well deserving, but there can only be, as you know, one winner. And this year's TWiPBY goes to Jeff Pyatt for his claim of a 2 home run game that never happened. Congratulations, Jeff. Back to you, Chad.
Thanks, Luke. Keith, as usual, hard to argue with the judge.
Yeah, they don't call him the judge for nothing. His record remains beyond reproach.
Yeah, and Pyatt can't even be bothered to appear at his sentencing. Throw the book at him. Guilty as charged.
Nice. You're really going for it with the legal metaphors here.
I object. But okay, let's move on to our WhatsApp group chat comment of the year. Now, unlike most online forums these days that can get unhinged pretty quickly, the team WhatsApp thread remains a source of overwhelming inspiration and positivity for the entire team.
Yeah, I know it's the first place I go to every morning. Here are the season's nominees for the WhatsApp comment of the year.
Keith Fisher for the deviated septum.
Jeff Gregorio, icing the groin.
Jeff Gregorio again with the gym mirror selfie.
Chad Kurz posting new This Week in Patriot Baseball, a podcast, episodes. And the winners are Chad for each of his This Week in Patriot Baseball, a podcast, episode announcements.
And Keith for the post-operative photos of his deviated septum. Keith, pretty gruesome stuff. But since you don't seem like a huge HIPAA guy, what else can you tell us about that experience and why you chose to share it around the clubhouse in such graphic fashion?
You know, I felt like we were getting a little soft in the past couple of years and really needed to step up our intensity and our toughness. So I thought I would just really set the tone early in the season. I'm glad I was able to win a TWiPBY because of it.
Well, you know, I would say it's quite an honor to share a TWiPBY with you, Keith. Perhaps the biggest honor of my Patriots career. And I'd just like to thank the incredible team behind the scenes here at This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. I couldn't do it without them. And also to all the players and to our listener out there, you're the reason we make this podcast, and we will keep bringing you new episodes on a completely random and sporadic basis as long as you continue to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you. I'm truly humbled.
While some people were busy chatting up a storm in WhatsApp, others were actually out there doing real stuff.
That's right. Our nominees for Extracurricular Activity of the Year feature a diverse skill set, from professional photography and mandolin playing to a bunch of guys who are into golf and fast cars. And yeah, fine, there's even a rival podcast producer among us too.
Somehow, I don't see that guy winning this award.
Hey, for the record, I abstained from voting for this award.
No, let's just meet the nominees. Thomas Aguila, the Hard 90 Podcast. Sammy Cristatello, mandolin playing. Austin Morgan, photography. Billy Schultz, drag racing. And the winner is Austin Morgan, photography.
I'd like to thank you guys for this award. Oh, too nice, too kind. I'd like to say you're welcome for your Instagram posts, and you can check me out at austinjmorgan.com. And for those of you who have major life events coming up, if you need somebody to document them, you can use promo code Let's Find Out for the team discount. Thanks again.
Of course, the photo guy comes in with the fancy special effects, trying to show up our operation here. I swear, the nerve.
Okay, take it easy, Chad. Nothing to get too worked up about. Leave that to our next TWiPY recipient.
Ooh, the hothead of the year?
That's right.
Wait, didn't this guy, sweep the ballot?
I mean, he was actually the only nominee.
All right, well, why don't we balance this out with our dugout guy of the year? Kind of the yin to the hothead's yang?
If you say so. I still don't think anyone really knows what a dugout guy is, but...
Well, there's only one way to know for sure, so let's meet this season's nominees for dugout guy of the year. Justin DiLorenzo, Jeff Gregorio, Sean Harding, Nick Richards, Billy Schultz.
And of course, the winner is Billy Schultz.
Wait, didn't he make up this dugout guy award? I mean, that must have been after he knew he was the uncontested hothead, and so he needed this to even things out?
Yeah, it's definitely a little suspect, but who's to say there's no politicking at the TWiPBYs? Paying for a post-game meal at the Metro 29 diner can go a long way.
Ah, well, there you have it, straight from the skipper. And if you'd like to just arbitrarily make up a category for yourself to win at next year's show, I'd recommend cozying up with TWiPBY Brass at tonight's after party. I'd like your odds.
Well, in the meantime, here to accept not one but two TWiPBYs, your hothead and dugout guy of the year, the multi-talented and one of the best number sixes on our team, Billy Schultz.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank Patriots management. I'd like to thank the Kangaroo Court for honoring me with not just one, but two awards this year. Patriots Hothead and Dugout Guy. Dugout Guy is a category that I suggested this year, which I get is very self-serving. Now, it's not lost on me the dichotomy of these two awards, Hothead and Dugout Guy. Now, Hothead, someone's got to be chirping in the umpire's ear, someone's got to be trolling the other team, and it's got to be a guy that we can afford to lose, which makes me the perfect hothead. I mean, look, I'm going to get us a few hits every few games, but they're going to be Billy Schultz hits. They're going to be Texas Leaguers. They're going to be balls that take weird hops. I'm going to get on base, but I'm not winning ball games for us. On the other hand, if you're too much of a hothead, you can't be a good dugout guy. Dugout guy's got to be fun. He's got to be easy to hang with. And he's got to be someone that can focus the team, take it seriously when we need to. So with that, I'm honored to get that award. I love hanging out in the dugout with you guys, and I've been spending more time there as I'm getting older. I'm not playing as much right field. I'd still be doing it even if I weren't playing at all. I love this Patriots team. I especially love this season's team. The merger has been fantastic. Love these guys. Really honored to accept these awards. Been playing with this team for almost a decade, and I hope for another decade. Thank you for the award. I'll see you guys out on the field next season.
Great stuff there from Billy. Hey, so you mentioned this after party. I'd say folks are about ready for it, and we're down to our final TWiPY, so...
Okay, I can take a hint, but let's not race through this one. It's the finale and worth setting up a little bit.
Of course, it's the TWiPY for Game of the Year. And in a historic season, you know there's no shortage of great nominees.
That's right. We've got dramatic comebacks, late heroics, new records being set, individual, collective moments of brilliance. 2021 had it all.
But there can only be one Game of the Year, so here are the nominees. Opening Day Walk-Off. Win versus previously unbeaten Knights. 16 unanswered runs versus the Gridlock. Record-breaking 14th regular season win. 2-seed clincher and regular season finale versus the Wood Ducks.
And it should come as no surprise. We've talked about this game a lot earlier in the show. The TWiPY for the 2021 Game of the Year goes to our July 13 1-0 win versus the defending champion and previously undefeated DC Knights. Keith, I think it's only fitting that you accept this TWiPY on behalf of the team. What do you remember about that game?
Well, it's my honor to accept this award, Chad. It was a great game like we talked about earlier, and I think one of the big things for us in a game like that one and some of the other games that were nominated, I think it taught us what we need to do to win games in the regular season. And now we have to be able to build on that for 2022. So this was a great game to think back on and to have memorialized with this TWiPY. I'm excited for this one, but even more excited for what could potentially be ahead.
Indeed. Lights out pitching and stout defense were certainly both big storylines, not only in that 1-0 win versus the Knights, but throughout the 2021 season. And I think it showed, there's no doubt, this team is right up there in the elite tier of Fedball, so certainly plenty to be excited about heading into 2022. But for now, that's going to do it for 2021 and our inaugural TWiPY Awards. Congratulations to all of the nominees and deserving winners. Thanks to our partners. And of course, our most important and heartfelt thank you to Patriots fans near and far. You are the best fans in Fedball. The home field advantage you give us is real. Believe me, we hear about it from the opposing teams and see it for ourselves when we're on the road. It's no comparison. So thank you. Keith?
Well, this has been great to be with you, Chad. What a night, the inaugural TWiPYs. I can't wait to see everyone out there for another exciting year of Patriot baseball.
All right, well, that's our show. On behalf of the entire Washington Patriots Baseball Club, that's Keith Fisher. I'm Chad Kurz. Until next time, don't forget to try your best. So long, everyone.